Hey everybody, I'm here once again at Desert Memorial Park Cemetery in Cathedral City, California. And I'm here today to visit the gravesite of psychologist and radio talk show host Toni Grant. Who remembers Toni Grant? From back in the 1970s and 80s. I would say about 5, 6, 7 years ago, a subscriber on this channel left me a comment to let me know that Toni Grant was buried here in this cemetery, and I had no idea. Now, because I had mentioned that my grandparents were buried here and that my future final resting place is also going to be here, and that I come here all the time just to take my walks and to visit my grandparents, the subscriber wanted to let me know that Toni Grant was laid to rest here. Well, actually, the subscriber wanted me to check to see if her headstone had been placed yet. Now, again, like I say, this was probably 5, 6, 7 years ago, and she had already been dead for a few years, and he was just wondering if she had a headstone yet, since her Find a Grave Memorial page hadn't been updated and there was no photo of her gravesite. So after receiving that message on my next visit here, I searched for her grave and I couldn't find it. So I actually went into the office and they were really kind enough to take me right to her gravesite, and sadly it was unmarked. Just grass, no headstone. Her plot was right next to her father's plot, so it made sense that she would be there and that she would have a headstone at some point. So pretty much every year since, I've checked to see if she has a headstone, and the last time I checked, I think was probably a year ago, she still didn't have a headstone. So I'm going to check again today. It's been a while, and so I'm going to check and see if she has a headstone. I'm guessing she probably doesn't. I'm not sure why she doesn't have a headstone or why it's taken almost a decade. It's been, I think, 9 years now since she's been gone, and her father has a headstone. So it makes me wonder, did she not want a headstone? Did she not want her fans visiting her? Or did she just not think about it? Did family members not think about it? Did family members, for some reason, not want her to have a headstone? I always wonder when famous people don't have headstones, what the reason is. Now, I can understand when a person is extremely famous, why sometimes they don't want headstones, because sometimes headstones are stolen or defaced. So, I mean, there are sometimes good reasons why, but in her case, she was famous here in the U.S. I don't know, her radio show, she got her start on radio here in Los Angeles on KABC with Bill Balance. Who remembers Bill Balance? Gosh, he was such a ever-present name here on the airwaves in Los Angeles back then. And she had her first radio segment on his program back in 1972. And then by 1975, she had her own dedicated radio call-in talk show. She was a therapist, so it was mostly relationship advice, if I remember right. I used to listen to her all the time. I had an office job where I could listen to the radio all day, so I listened to talk radio a lot back then, and shows like hers were very, very popular. In fact, by 1981, it was syndicated nationally here in the U.S. I don't know if it ever aired overseas, and maybe some of you watching from overseas will share with us in the comments and let us know if you're familiar with Dr. Toni Grant. She was one of the very first women to have a call-in radio talk show, and maybe the first. If any of you know for sure if she was the first or just one of the first, again, share with us in the comments. As far as I could tell by doing a little research online, it seems like she was probably the first, and she was online doing what she did, answering questions and giving out relationship advice and just general life advice in 1972. Dr. Laura, who really became popular, and I think she became even more popular than Dr. Toni Grant. Dr. Laura, in 2025, I believe, is still on the radio. I used to listen to her all the time as well. She was really more of a tough love kind of life advice talk show host, and I think she's still on Sirius Radio, and I even just saw that she has a YouTube channel, and she's still giving out advice on YouTube as well, so kind of interesting. Not surprising that she's lasted. I mean, she's very no-nonsense and very practical and gives out very serious advice, and I don't think she's for everyone, but she's still doing what she does after all these years, decades later. I haven't listened to her since back in the, I guess it was probably the 80s. And here we are in 2025, and she's still going strong. Now, Dr. Toni Grant also had a best-selling book called Being a Woman, Fulfilling Your Femininity and Finding Love. So yeah, I think a lot of her advice was relationship and love related. So if any of you know why she still doesn't have a headstone after 9 years, please share with us. I would really love to know. It just doesn't make sense to me why anyone doesn't want a headstone, but especially a famous person like Dr. Toni Grant. She was born on April 3rd, 1942 in New York City and died March 27th, 2016 in Beverly Hills at the age of 73. So it's interesting, did she have a second home down here in Palm Springs, or was it because her father lived down here in Palm Springs and was buried here in Palm Springs? And when I say Palm Springs, I'm just talking about the greater Palm Springs area. Like I say, this is the city of Cathedral City, which is a city right next door to Palm Springs. I'm just always curious about where people die, how they ended up dying where they died, and especially where they're buried. And did they choose to be buried where they're buried, or did they not think about it and family members chose their spot for them? And do they have a headstone? And if not, why not? So lots of questions that usually don't get answered, but in sharing videos like this, not only am I able to help remember the person, but sometimes we get some answers and we find out information about how and why they're buried where they're buried. And for some reason, that's just always something that I'm curious about. So if you ever listened to the Dr. Toni Grant radio show, or read her book, or met her in person, or have a story to share about her, please share in the comments section. And as always, thanks for sharing the memories, everybody, and I hope to see you all next time.